think you're on frequency. You want a 0 beat?
Sorry to go in the other room and adjust the VFO.
Well, 2 amps of antenna current, low reflective power. I don't know what else can be done.
Is that 3873?
This is 3873. As a matter of fact, I even checked the VFO, the DDS dental-based VFO, earlier today, and I was within 1/10 of a cycle from CHU Canada. So it's very close. For me, close enough.
I tried to 0 beat you the best I could, but there's that CW in there again. Are they identifying?
I don't have a BFO. I can't copy CW, which is just, unless it's a good tone.
Man, yeah, all right. I notched out the CW. I still feel like I'm a little bit too high over here. Let me go try to nail 3873. I'll probably drift lower than that, though.
Do you want a carrier?
Yeah, an unmodulated carrier would be awesome.
And so be it. N1PCG providing carriers. What? Mr. Murph move.
All right, perfect. I got you. We're right on the money now. This is W2BTK on 3873. Whoa, there's already 4 Twitch viewers. Look at that. What's up, homies? I mean, and by homies, I mean, what's up, Clark? The licensed amateur radio operator who I'm talking to on 3873.
You've got to have other homies on your channel, because otherwise, why bother?
Yeah, but I don't say hi to them on the air. I say hi to them in the chat, which is, because, FCC. They wonderful people, by the way. They do a great job, the FCC.
If you're in QSO with me, you can say hi to whoever you want.
Yeah, well, actually, we got some licensed amateurs in the chat, and I'm allowed to relay what they're saying, I guess. W3CJD is in the chat. It says, happy Saturday. And we have our newly licensed operator here, past the tech in general at the same time, chanting, Clark, 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 Clark.
Well, there you go. Apparently, very easy to entertain, and someday they'll be on the air doing their own entertaining, and we'll be chanting, whatever their name is.
Well, you'll be able to hear him just fine too. He's right. He's basically Dave VW's neighbor down there. He's got it right now, a dipole up about 15 feet, but that's going to go way up, and he's looking for an HF rig. If you know anybody with something like that.
No, but it would be nice for there to be a program for getting people who are getting started in that in ham radio some HF gear. Because I know a lot of it is being dispensed with, so I could see a good connection program being set up.
I told him to hop on QTH.com and watch the classifieds, and also eBay. I figure that's probably the best thing to do. I don't know where do you go if you're like just getting into this and you need an HF rig? Like, what do you do?
I would go on QRZ into their swap meet section or whatever, the buy and sell, and just put a post up there saying, hey, everybody, just got my license. Not sure where to start, so looking for, an economical way to get into ham radio. Not looking for anything great, just want to get started. Any suggestions are welcome.
That's probably good advice. So yeah, that Tommy, what is it, KD2UEK, down there in South Jersey, he should put his email on his QRZ page. If anybody's looking, knows anything or has like an HF rig, for our friend who just got licensed, passed the tech in general at the same time. I'm so proud of him.
And what was your role in that?
He was going to take the tech, and I forced him to study for the general at the same time and also take that test.
Ah, so he can hang out with the hooligans instead of just docking on 2 meters and 440.
That's right. Figured I'd save him the trouble of finding out that 2 meters is okay, but HF is where it's at.
Well, there's a lot of truth to that in the sense that you may not get a good experience on 2 meters or 40, and the problem is that, people get their tech license and they try that out. There may be nobody to talk to on repeaters, depending upon where they are, or even in major cities sometimes there's no one to talk to on the repeaters. And then they feel like, really? I got this license and then got all this VHF, UHF equipment for what? To not find anyone to talk to. What the hell? And then people say, oh, you should get your general. It's like, oh, and then what? More of this? Oh, no, it's great. You can talk all over the world. Yeah, well, can I use this equipment? Oh, no, you got to get all new equipment. Oh, yeah, that's great. That's a fabulous scenario.
That's a good point. But the good thing about it, and I guess that's my other role in all this, he didn't have to take anyone's word for it, because he's been hanging out in the Twitch stream and he sees how much fun we have. He said himself, look, the 3085 is where the cool kids are, and he knows that because he's been watching, and he wants to get on here.
Yo, Giant, man!
Well, for your Twitch viewers who are not in the Northeast, it may
Thank you, Matt.
Like this everywhere. Just a little bit of a caveat there.
Yeah, but he's in South Jersey, right by VW. We'll hear him fine.
Well, he is. I'm just saying that you have other people who may be, watching and thinking the same thing. But, this is something which is just sort of a Northeast deal. Like if you lived in Arizona and you decided to get your tech and your general and your race out there and get all this HF gear and tune into 3885, well, all bets are off as far as what you're going to hear.
Yeah, well, I guess that's a good point, but you can always start your own thing. I don't know. It's just, it says right on my feed, Live Ham Radio Northeast US. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Okay. N1 PCG. It's got to be said from time to time.
Yeah. What else is up? My cat's going nuts. What the hell's Murphy doing? Sleeping?
He is actually lying on my stomach, kind of passed out, but he's had a hard day of play today.
No, again? What'd you guys do?
Well, it was going to be very simple, but when I went outside, I figured he would just come with me and hang out. But he went to go get his favorite chase ball, And he knows that if he plays chase with the ball aggressively and all that, goes fetches it a few times, he gets a treat when we get back. So we started to head out, and then as we got to the door, he suddenly darted back. It's like, I know what he's doing. He went to go find his ball. Sure enough, he took his ball out of his little collection of toys, came running out with it, was tail wagging like, oh, look, we're going to do chase the ball, and I'm going to get treats. And he's absolutely right.
Oh, crap. I just realized I didn't have any bandwidth limiting in there. That should be a little bit better. Yeah, that's way better. My bad. Dude, my dogs would... they do that anyway. They were all about the ball. They played like dog soccer. And, that's two dogs, so they could, do that. But, man, when it was hot like it was today, they would get so overheated. I would have to, hide the ball and have them go in the garage in the shade and lay on the concrete and, get them to chug water. It was, scary.
Definitely good to keep them cool.
Speaking of keeping it cool, as in cool technology, I got my vector signal generator going today with nice broadband AM, not complex AM, just normal AM, and gosh, it sounds good. It is just the perfect AM at 0.03 watts. So I've got my LDMOS brick here, and I use that to step it up to something that I can drive another linear with.
40 milliwatts, huh? Yep. It's got to get a nice, good, clean amplificator, and you're all set.
Yep. This should do good. Should do well, I should say. The plus 15 dBm output of this thing. But, man, did it sound good. I was very impressed. I need to figure out how to use, the PA section of one of these rice boxes to amplify that thing up. Not exactly sure where I would need to inject RF to do that.
Not sure.
Yeah, well, that's the plan. But for now, I got this little Chinesium amp coming that takes 1 to 5 milliwatts and will turn it into 30 watts. So I figure I'll just use that and really, really, really drive it low, maybe a little less than a milliwatt, just to get a couple watts out of it. And at that level, the index should be pretty good, and I'll be able to step it up from there.
Good Lord, what kind of an amplifier takes that low-level input?
Stuff from China. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, but, it's supposed to take 1 to 5 milliwatts and make 30 watts, so I'll give it, a good amount less than a milliwatt, so it just makes a couple watts, and it should be clean, I feel. It'll be fine.
Those are linear amplifiers?
Yeah, it's a little board. You get them on eBay for $40, and it works from 3 to 30 megahertz. Most of them are higher though, 50 to 200 megahertz, but there's a couple on there that do HF.
All right, well, sounds like an interesting experiment.
Yeah, I'd much rather pipe it into a rice box PA though.
Except for the linearity issue.
No, well, I had a TS-830 over here for a little while. I gave it back to Dave, and that thing's a pair of 6146s, and they have inverse feedback wrapped around them, so it should be real clean if I use something like that, no?
Well, it's going to be the bias that's going to determine the class of service. If you have if you have a lot of rigs, not just a linear amplifier, but any sideband rig has linear amplification. It's just there's no carrier. Even on AM, they do it low level and amplify it. So it is possible you could use almost any sideband rig, even a low power one, to amplify that, because they're all running, what was it, like class AB or something like that for RF.
Yeah, well, that's my plan. I just have to get into a schematic of one of these rice boxes and figure out how the hell. I have to find like a 0 dBm point in the RF chain there where I can just dump the output of this signal generator in, which I haven't been able to do yet.
It's only a matter of time.
Your signal is very strong here, by the way.
Well, that's weird, because I'm not doing anything different.
Yeah, you got about a 65 dB SNR. That's nice.
Wow, you must have like zero noise there.
Noise levels up and down a little bit, hovering around minus 95.
All right, so who else is on frequency here before we get into all this tech talk? Come on now, be honest. Nah, we're not buying that.
They're all listening to the LadyNet.
Good, they should.
All right, well, Tech Talk is no good. TikTok, now there's a hot topic. I think that's just a way for, China to steal information from people.
Well, and that's exactly why they're looking to ban it. So, yep, there are some European countries and the U.S. all looking to ban that. Amazon actually, was it yesterday, accidentally sent out an email to all its employees that said that they had to delete the app. And then they said, oh, yeah, we didn't mean to send that out. We sent it out prematurely. But that seems to be the way they're going, and that's Amazon.
Yeah, well, they know. I never downloaded it. I don't even have Snapchat, man.
Oh my God, Snapchat. Yeah, well, the craziest I'm willing to get is WhatsApp, and the only reason I have that is for my friends who live in Europe, because they've got it.
WhatsApp is pretty cool. We had like a group chat going with my apprenticeship class in WhatsApp, and I also used it when I went to Sweden to talk to, my family who, none of our phones worked.
Which is actually a very interesting thing, which I discovered a couple of years ago, because I have Verizon, and I got Verizon Wi-Fi on my new phone, and apparently it works anywhere there's Wi-Fi. So there's, you go to Europe and there's Wi-Fi everywhere. I mean, in all of public transportation, on the trains, streetcars, buses. It's amazing. Hotels, of course. And my phone rings there just like it does here. People will call and it's like, wow, look at that. My phone is just ringing. Because it gets all the Verizon phone calls and text messaging through the internet.
Isn't that amazing? Looks like we're talking about tech stuff again, though.
Yeah, but this is stuff people can get. I mean, talking about, your 65 dB S to N and all that, it's like, what the hell is that? No one gets that. This, being able to have your phone work in other countries, that's kind of cool.
You just gotta have a carrier that has, what is that, not CDMA, a GSM network where you can use SIM cards and stuff. And then you just pop a SIM card in there. Isn't that the way most people do it?
That's what I use my old phone for. So I actually have both my phones when I go traveling. So the main one that I use here ends up, I don't bring it with me. I just leave it locked up in the safe in the room, and I turn off. I put it on airplane mode because that'll just kill the battery. It'll just sit there and run at high power, constantly trying to make connection with the cell system, which doesn't work because it's the wrong one. So I put it on airplane mode the entire time I'm there, and then I just turn off Wi-Fi. It just basically goes dormant. Throw it in the safe, and I take my old phone, which I buy a SIM card for. So I actually have a local number in Europe, and that's what people reach me on. But the thing is it's getting to the point where more folks have WhatsApp, and it's like they want to communicate with me on WhatsApp more than they want to call me. So now I'm starting to wonder why am I it's like, why am I buying a SIM card and having my old phone run there with a local phone number if everyone wants to use WhatsApp? So I don't know. It's interesting. It's really starting to get kind of crazy. Like every couple of years, I just totally change how I communicate with folks. I actually ended up buying a European phone, and like a disposable phone. That was what I first started doing. That was like 15 or so years ago. Just like one of those tiny cell phones that are the size of like a radar. And then I ended up getting the SIM card for my old iPhone, and now it looks like even that's becoming out of date.
Yeah, well, that's by design, I feel. They want that stuff to go obsolete, so you buy a new phone. It sucks, but that's the way of, that's the business model, I guess you would say. But just to shift gears real quick, last night, you remember, you know what Discord is, right, Clark?
I know what the service is, and I know what the word means, yes.
So the Discord server that I put up, we all got on voice chat last night, about 5 of us, and we were doing, back and forth. Connor was in there, and a couple of the guys that watched the Twitch stream, and they were just asking questions about ham stuff. Nick, he's another 18-year-old operator looking to get his tech as soon as he could take a test. He was in there asking a whole bunch of questions. He's a Discord server whiz, by the way. He was telling me how to do stuff in Discord. But anyway, he was in there asking a lot of questions, and he says last night was great. He learned a lot, and it would be a lot better with Clark. So if you could get that, I'd send you an invite. If you want to come in there some night and just chat with these people, your fans, I think that would be great.
I find that hard to believe that anybody needs to hear anything from me. I'm not getting self-deprecating here, but it's just like it just doesn't seem like there's anything that I'm going to be able to talk about which is going to interest them.
Well, they just want to talk to you. I mean, they chant Clark in there. I mean, if you showed up, it would be great just for that. But also, you having been a ham and hung out on AM, I mean, way longer than me, RF broadcast engineer, this and that, and, I know you have ideas about, how to get started in ham radio, how to steer people in the right direction, and just give some good advice and stuff. I don't know. I would think it would be pretty cool if you could show up in there.
I think that they should get on, get on your Twitch channel, and you can always ask them questions. They can type their questions, and I'll answer them from there.
Look at this. They said Clark has a fan club.
Well, that's great. So charge them, what is it? Cred points? Or no? What the hell is that thing you charge them? Well, anyway, charge them points for asking questions.
So you should just come out and say that you don't want to talk to your fans and you're not going to make yourself available like that. Am I getting the gist of it?
Hear that, folks? Hear the expression putting words in someone's mouth? There you go. You just got an example.
Look, they're even saying things go better with Clark.
Like I'm some kind of steak sauce.
Did you just bump up your bandwidth? Because you were nice and, like, 5kc before. Not so much now. Holy.
Andy, man. Yo, thanks, brother.
And now it's pouring rain. Maybe it's that.
Oh, I know what it is. How's that?
Yo, thanks for the sub, Andy, man. That's the resub. Thank you, bro. I'm glad you're enjoying the channel.
Look at that. We got resubscriptions and everything. People are enjoying this, Clark. I think you could be a good influence on all these peepses.
On all the peeps. Well, I'll do my best.
Can you hear me now?
Hey, Bruce, what's going on?
Nothing. Is this the Clark net?
It's the Bruce on the radio net.
I thought it was the Clark. Yeah, on the right antenna now.
That's never stopped Bill.
Well, it didn't stop me either, but, you know. I don't think the amplifier liked it. I didn't mind. It didn't really. At least I had a load on it.
I'm being good tonight. I tightened my bandwidth up to 5.5 audio, 11kc total. Is that acceptable?
Yeah, you know. And I only got, 6 or something. I got 3. What is this? I think it's like 3 per side, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what it looks like here.
Yeah, and that's it.
Clark, where do you have your max audio processor set to as far as bandwidth?
Guess it's 9.
9 overall?
No, 9 kilohertz. 9 up, 9 down.
Holy smokes. Well, okay.
Get all the information in that way.
Well, the band was all nice and quiet when things started, so I suppose I could tighten things up.
Yeah, I just tightened it up because, you know, nobody's splashing down here, so I won't splash up there.
What a good guy.
What? Turbo Clark.
So, Bruce, what's new and exciting?
Well, today we had the house inspection in Arizona, and you know, it was pretty much what we thought. There were no termites in the house, which was good. A couple minor things, but the guy I think did a lot of his own electrical work, and there's some definite shortcomings. A lot of electrical outlets with no covers on them, which is no biggie, but it was the electrical boxes in the wall that had the 5 wires just, you know, twisted together with a wire nut on that I'm kind of leery of, and oh my God, he had in the master bathroom he had 5 switches on the wall. And one switch operated the light with the exhaust fan that was in the little toilet area. And the other switch operated a light that was also in the ceiling in the toilet area. Then the third switch operated 2 recessed lights that were above the sink. The fourth switch operated another light.
Hey, yo, what's up? YMO, thanks for the follow.
That were in the ceiling for the sink. And then the fifth one operated the light that was for the shower stall. And, it was really, it's crazy. That was just one thing that I noticed that was pretty crazy.
Well, that's both kooky and nutty.
Yeah, I did a search on the guy. He's 87. I don't know whether he did the wiring or not. The house is nice. It's all redone. All new tile floors and beautiful kitchen cabinets and vanities and new solid core doors on all the rooms and all that stuff. But like the garage has got wiring just hanging. Some of it's run through conduit, but a lot of it's just like hanging. And I couldn't really see it from the pictures. When you went to the other side of the beam in the garage, it was all, kind of like and the sub panel isn't wired right. They ran a sub panel for the main panel, which is outside, and it's in the garage. Oh my God, it's loaded with braces. I mean, this thing's got a lot of braces in it. But I couldn't tell what gauge wire they ran to the main panel, and he had 5 light switches in the garage to control the fluorescent lights that were in the ceiling in there, which I thought was very odd. And more freaking plugs all over the place than you could shake a stick at. There's definitely not a lack of plenty of plugs. Oh yeah, in the master bedroom, in the back of the bed, there were 5 outlets there. So they must have got pretty creative in the bedroom with 5 outlets. That was for my own older guy. That was before there was rechargeable items.
Every house that I've ever been in, new construction, old house, this and that, the wiring is usually not great. I've really never seen like a residential electrical installation that was really good.
Yeah, this is just bizarre. What do you need 10 plugs behind the bed for? It's I don't know. And some of them weren't even installed right. You plug that little tester in and they weren't. I don't know. It's a bunch of bizarre things. My wife still likes the house though. And the air conditioning system, which is a heat pump, is 18 years old. So that is on its last leg, and it uses R2, I think it's called, refrigerant, which that's no longer made. Very expensive to recharge it. It takes 9 pounds. So it's going to need a new air conditioner. That one kind of was working, but it was 107 degrees outside today, but it was 85 in the house, but still, I don't know. It definitely needs a new air conditioning system. I don't know. The dryer that was in the laundry area had no vent, and plus it didn't really fit on where he had it. And they asked the guy, and he said, well, they like to vent it in the room to get the moisture from the drying clothes in the room. Now, if you ever ran an unvented dryer someplace, that freaking thing puts out tons of dust, of lint, and it just makes a big mess. And the room was spotless, so for me, I don't think he ever ran that dryer. You know, it's kind of a lot of questionable statements. But I did find out on the internet, doing a search on the guy, he is 87 years old. So you gotta factor the 87-year-old thing.
Yeah, well, the dryer thing sounds like a bad idea overall. And then, yeah, the code changes a lot. I mean, sometimes, well, I don't know. I just, residential electrical wiring is usually kind of bad. I mean, like I said, I've never seen something that impressed me. But I only do like commercial electrical work, and all that stuff is top notch.
Well, yeah, it has to be, because you get, inspectors come along. The residential, they have inspectors too, but I don't think he pulled a permit for any of them. The addition that he put on, that is questionable on whether he pulled a permit or not. And I also found out he hasn't paid his property taxes for the last 4 years on the house.
Yeah, you gotta watch that. You don't want to get stuck with that. Jeez. Well, the only thing I can say is if you haven't had, if you do end up having a home inspection on the place, whoever does it, you get them to shoot IR in the house. Like, they'll check all of the outlets, the electrical panel, wiring and stuff, and just search for hot spots. That's what you gotta watch out for. Loose connections, crap in the wall, stuff that's heating up a little bit. That's always, that's the big danger.
Oh, yeah. Well, two gentlemen today did the house inspection, and they were there for about 3.5 hours. I really think they did a pretty thorough job. There's things they like the air conditioner. They say, well, it's 18 years old. They don't really go on in there with an amp probe and gauges, But it was getting cold, and so that's a good thing. So, I don't know. But, Bill, one thing this house had that I really like, and in the garage, right off the workshop, he made a small bathroom there, small corner area, and he installed a urinal in the garage. Now, you gotta buy that house.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's all stuff you can fix. Electrical work isn't that hard. You can do most of it yourself. Probably have to make some holes in the wall and crap, but what happened to Clark? Why is he so quiet?
He's doing a great job.
He's saving himself. He's going to go up later on 3885 and do some trolling, I think.
We're not allowed on 3885 tonight.
That's nice to have ladies' night, though. Whoever came up with that was a good idea, because the girls get on and, they have some time, and it's really a nice thing.
Yeah, but I wish they would get on, on their own accord sometimes. Like, the only time you ever hear any of them is on these, ladies' nights, It would be cool if they got on a little more often, don't you think?
Well, yeah, and the nice thing about AM is they sound, the sideband, ladies don't really sound that good on sideband, I think.
Well, AM is just superior fidelity, hands down. So anybody sounds better on AM.
Yeah, even Clark being 20 kcs wide.
Turbo Clark.
That's it, Turbo Clark. Yes. It's like a superhero.
Look at that in the chat. They say, there are some things that money can't buy. For everything else, there's Clark.
Hey now.
What are you doing, Clark?
7B.
N1 BCG, you're doing a great job.
W2BTK, but what are you doing, Clark? Why are you so quiet?
Because you guys are doing a great job. Just hanging out, enjoying the show.
Yeah, but come on, man. I figured you'd key up and say something.
I'll certainly chime in as needed.
What do you want to talk about, Clark?
Bruce, what were you guys talking about?
Yeah, I don't remember.
See that? We don't even remember. What's next, Clark? What's the hot topic on 3873?
Bruce, what were you saying when you first got on? You guys should, retrace your footsteps.
We were saying, Clark, 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 Clark.
Yeah, we were.
Okay. Sounds good.
You sound really good too, Clark.
Sound marvelous, Clark.
All right, you guys are doing a great job.
Oh, thanks. Hey, I remember years ago when I was working in the shop, I had a friend that had an auto body shop and motorcycle shop, and nevertheless, he had the coolest thing up on the wall. It was made out of metal, had a glove on it. It was like a hand, it looked like a hand with the glove on it. And you'd back up to it and you'd pull the rope and it would pat you on the back. And what a great idea. So you could, give yourself a pat on the back every once in a while.
Yeah, Clark.
I gotta get a refill. I'll be back.
Oh my God, why are you being so weird? Oh, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. We need to come up with a topic that's riveting so that Clark wants to jump in there.
Yeah. Oh, my wife's best friend since kindergarten, and her son. She came down from Maine yesterday, and her son, who lives up in Maine too, came down. They went down to Danbury, Connecticut, to meet a whole truckload of rescue dogs. I guess they bring them up from Texas. Had like 25 dogs in the vehicle. Well, he had a T-shirt on, and it was black with white lettering, and it said "Black Flies Matter."
Man, yeah, but see, that wouldn't go over so well, probably. You can't say that. There's all kinds of things you can't say nowadays. I have a black cat, and she's so black. And I think she matters. Black cats matter. But you're not allowed to say that. You're not even allowed to say something as universally true as, everyone matters. Like, that's wrong to say. But then again, I don't understand any of this stuff. It seems like there's a lot of contradictions in the story, perhaps double standards. I don't know. I don't understand what you can and can't do these days. Because I don't know what it is.
Well, it's a different, it's a different world. That black man that died from the police there. That's a terrible thing. Any way you look at it, someone passing on. All the videos I saw of the guy. He was terrible. He couldn't breathe. They had him in handcuffs on the ground. There was 5 cops there, and they all got guns. Well, come on. Now I believe that was definitely excessive. I don't care if the guy's a criminal or not. Which he was definitely pretty close to being a career criminal. He's been in trouble his whole life. But besides the point, it wasn't right. But our society, it's really gone to the other realm. But it's gotten really out of control. I have some calendar. What would they be? There's like the calendars. They have pictures in them. So a lot of times, different things. Well, I've got a couple of calendar prints that are from the 1890s, 1900, and we really ridiculed the Afro-American people back then. It was very disturbing, if you think about it. They were, they were really looked as, very much second-class citizens. They're not. They're human beings. And, times are changing. Whether we're good or not, I don't know. Got this stupid corona thing going on, and I don't see the end in sight. Unless they come out with some miraculous cure for it. It's going to be around for a while. But us Americans, we're very, we're stupid. You don't supposed to be going out. You don't supposed to be socializing. If everybody stayed home and put a mask on and was really, meticulous on being careful. All these different little things they tell you to watch out for. In enough time, it would be a lot less quickly. But you see the kids on the beach and the amusement park. See them on TV. Nobody has a mask on. It only takes one person to be contaminated, with that virus to spread it, and it's invisible. It's an invisible thing. So we'll see what happens. I wear a mask myself. I don't like it. It's hot. You can't wear glasses with it. They fog right up. I just came back. We had our annual club pig roast today, which we were limited to 100 people, masks, all of it, and it went okay. I kept my mask on, but there was a lot of people that didn't, and a lot of and you got all kinds of people there. So if someone has it, maybe we'll then maybe it'll go rampant. But I stayed away from everybody, kept my mask on. And I worked a little bit in the kitchen. We had pulled pork, so I pulled my pork all apart, and then
that was fun.
50 raffle, and then left. We got 3 bands.
Hi, Clark.
Well, for $25, it's definitely a bargain because it's all the beer you could drink, and they have soda and water that don't cost. Once they have mixed drinks and all that, but. Yeah, it's a good day, and but I didn't hang around. I just went there for a couple hours, made my appearance, helped out, and and stayed socially distant, and hopefully I didn't catch the coronavirus, but yeah, because with the club you have to buy two tickets to events. You have to buy one to the pig roast And then the other one is, I think the clam bake. You have to buy one for each one of those. It's mandatory. So if you don't go, you still got to give them the $25. So I always go. I help out a little bit, as much as I can, within reason. So, yeah. They're probably still up there at 8 o'clock. Yeah, they're still up there. They'll be up there about 10. Be a bunch of older drunks running around. A bunch of sloppy women. Oh, God. Those were the days. WL7B.
I think Clark's back. That was a lot of information, Bruce. I'm not gonna lie, I spaced out a little bit during that one. But oh yeah, in the chat here, people want to know things, and we've got questions for Clark. Clark, are you back?
Yeah, Bruce, I think you should probably repeat the second half of that, everything in that transmission for Bill.
Oh, about the clothing optional party?
Yeah, I missed that also. So yeah, pick up there.
Yeah, it was going pretty good until somebody took a weed whacker out.
Oh my God. Clark, we got questions for you from the chat. Will you accept third-party traffic, sort of?
I don't know why you're so shy about that. There's no problem whatsoever doing this. Those folks could be at your house, right there sitting next to you. You could be making the whole thing up. I mean, you have total control of your station. There's no problem whatsoever talking about or reading anything that you're seeing there. So, no issues.
All right. Well, still, we've got questions. First question, what are you getting a refill of?
Well, you can answer that.
Well, there's a couple different things that it could be. It's either red stuff or Gilby's London Dry Gin.
I think it's prune juice.
Well, you got it on your second guess, because you're right, the red stuff varies. This doesn't.
Well, there you go. It's Gilby's London Dry Gin. And apparently it's gin that doesn't smell like Christmas trees, which I think is weird, because all gin smells like Christmas trees to me.
I've never heard of that. Now, if I had my choice right now, I would be drinking Dutch gin, which is called Genever. And even though it sounds like it is spelled with a Y, it's spelled with a J. So if you were to look at it, it would look like it's spelled Genever. But anyway, it's pronounced Genever. Made by Bols, B-O-L-S, which is actually is one of the world's oldest distilleries. Now that is fantastic. Yes, Old Genever, Dutch gin. But I don't think I can get that around here, so I settle for Gilby's London Dry, next best thing. So, since nobody asked, I'll give you some other favorites of mine. Bailey's. Boy, that stuff is fattening, yeah. My cousin usually gets me an enormous bottle of Bailey's for Christmas, which I can always tell it's coming. She'll pick out this one box under the tree and hand it to me, and it weighs a ton. It's like, oh, this is my favorite. Of course, you can also get Cask and Cream, which is basically Bailey's, except at half the price. No, you guys drink Bailey's. That stuff is awesome. I mean, it's just totally awesome. It's just so fattening. That's the problem. Okay, one BCG is sort of a rundown on the things I like to sip on.
How do you drink your gin? In like a martini?
No, you can. I mean, gin martinis are pre-prohibition martinis. And then vodka martinis are post-prohibition is what he's struggling to say. Yeah, vodka martinis are post-prohibition martinis. Gin martinis are pre-prohibition martinis. But yes, I like gin martinis.
But how do you usually drink your gin? Like right now?
Oh, just straight.
Oh. I don't think I'd like that. I don't know. I've drinking straight vodka before. That was okay. Never drank straight gin. Always made a gin and tonic.
Well, that's good too. I mean, there's a lot of gin things. For example, Geneva is served really cold. I mean, the little shot glasses are frosted when you get them. I mean, it's funny that there have been times that I haven't wanted to finish a glass of gin, and so I'll put it in the refrigerator and like get it the next day and then pull it out. It's like, wow, this is really good when it's cold, but I don't know. I should probably just keep the bottle in the... You know what? That actually would be smart. Maybe I'll just keep the bottle in the refrigerator. Duh. Science helped me figure out a new way to drink gin. So I guess I'm going to step away from the microphone for about 10 to 15 minutes. I got to go put the gin bottle in the refrigerator.
I'd put it in the freezer.
Oh, no. Well, you're right. It won't freeze because it's alcohol, but... I think, well, yeah, that's interesting. Maybe it should go in the freezer. I'll have to give that some thought.
Yeah, because I used to put my Yukon Jack in the freezer, and that would never freeze, and it was nice, do a shot of that right out of the bottle. It was nice and cold.
All right, sorry, Bill. Didn't mean to have the thing turn into an alcohol fest net discussion here, but see, this is what happens when you lose control over your frequency.
No, I actually stepped away to go clean out my wine glass because you were making me thirsty, and you inadvertently answered one of my questions. I was going to ask if you enjoy your gin at room temperature or chilled or on the rocks or what?
No rocks. My recommendation for people who like snails on the rocks because of the temperature is go get those, what are those, stainless steel ice cubes that have some kind of a temperature holding liquid on the inside or whatever. Those things, those silver things, funky looking. And you just pop those in your glass and they keep them cooler than if there were actually ice cubes, and they don't melt. So there's another plus.
I've seen those. I didn't know if it was a gimmick or not. Apparently not.
No, the electronic ice cubes that have the LEDs in them that blink, so your drink sparkles in different colors, those are gimmicks.
Well, I'm pouring myself a glass of wine, and that's that.
All right, let's all sit here quietly and wait for Bill to come back.
No, all I've got to do is walk over and clean out my wine glass, wait for it to dry a little bit, and now I'm sitting back in my chair. I keep the wine over here by the operating position because, 3873.
What are you having for wine tonight, Wilson Mogan David?
It's like a $15 bottle with a giant cock on the front called Rex Goliath, the giant 47-pound rooster Cabernet Sauvignon.
Oh, okay. Oh, there are some very good, inexpensive bottles of wine. My wife finds them every once in a while. I don't drink myself. I stopped drinking when I was, it's been 34 years now since I've had a drink, so I'm saving myself.
Yeah, I started having a glass of wine at night since I stopped taking my other medicine. Just chills me out a little bit, slows down the, Oh, hold on, I missed something in chat. Somebody redeemed give treats to my cat. Dang, I did miss that. I gotta give treats to Boo Boo.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Mine are outside right now, the two kids. And, you know what I found out? That's cool. I was looking today. Right up the street is the animal rescue place, and, they have foster homes for their animals. And I used to foster kittens here. A couple of years ago, I did 5 or 6 litters at various times. It's really cool. We had like 5 of them, then 7 of them. You could see all the different personalities and stuff. And it was sad when they go, but they all went to good homes, so that's a good thing. But I may do that again in Arizona. Foster some kittens. One batch, I had to get up every couple hours to feed them with a bottle for a couple weeks. And boy, they loved me, I'll tell you. Whew. It was, they had a hard time leaving because, I was mom. Yep, that was a good experience. I did that for a couple of years. So my back got so bad I couldn't get down on the ground to, I had their cage on the floor, and it was hard for me to get down there to clean it and everything else. So I said, nah, you better chill out for that for a while. But yeah, go wash your glass out. I think I'm gonna go upstairs though, because I've got a Vibroplex brass racer in my hand. It's a CW, obviously, and it's got the Curtis keyer chip in the base with a small little pot triangle. It's a cool little key, but I got to look up the schematic of it because this one is sending out a continuous dash. And I think one of the diodes might be bad, but I gotta take a look at the schematic first before I start probing around in there. So I think I'm gonna go do that right now. Plus it's hot down here. The amplifier's heating me up, and I'm gonna get. I just had a ginger ale, but I think I got a nice bottle of cold water in the fridge. I think I'm gonna do that. So I'll be back. WL7B. Have a good evening if I don't. Hopefully I don't get on chat.
Yeah, all right, Bruce, sounds good. I've got my glass of wine now, sitting back, got the kitty cam going, so stop by the chat. You can see my really, really cute cat named Boo Boo. There's also like a Twitch back channel now, an app called Discord. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but there's a link to join the Discord server now. If you go down below, where you see the live feed, if you click About, there's a link there, so you can hop in there, and when, basically so everybody can chat when the live stream isn't up. So, anyway, yeah, enjoy, and I'll be here, I guess, if Clark's not around and nobody else is on frequency, we're just going to have some dead air. But hopefully that doesn't happen. So WL7B, W2BTK on Montana Mountain in New Jersey.
All right, Bill. Yeah, I'll probably be back. W2BTK, WL7B. Let me go look at the schematic. It's kind of driving me nuts. I have 2 of these keys. I fixed one of them today, earlier. So I'd like to get this one fixed. You know what stinks? Years ago, if I needed a little diode or something, I could jump in my car and drive a couple miles and go to Radio Shack. Sure, I'll pay $2-3 for the stupid thing, but, I'd have it. And I could come back and solder it in and be fixed. I really miss Radio Shack. And, I didn't spend a lot of money there, but when I needed something, I was able to drive over there and get it. And can't do that anymore. The closest place for me is about, I'd say 10 miles away, and and they have some stuff, but not everything. But then the other thing, you got to order through eBay, and sometimes if it's a Chinese one, it takes a month. I've got a pretty good junk box here, so I could always, if I need a diode, I could pull a signal diode off. I probably got a board or something that's got one on it. They're just using these diodes for, they're just using it for blocking, I think, but it's just I'm sure that's what they are. 1, 2, 3, so there's 6 diodes on the board. I'll have to look at the schematic. And it's a shame they don't make these chips no more. And the chip is probably worth more than the freaking key. But it'd be nice to get it going now. I don't know how many of these they made. But it's a nice CW key. I got the other one going and played around earlier with it, and it was good. It was good, but I don't usually use a key. I got an old bug. I get out with a bug. And, it's a new bug. It's one of those Viz keys. It's a vertical bug. I kind of like that one. Better than a Vibroplex bug. All right. We'll see you later. WL7B, clear. You back, Clark?
Now we're talking entomology. Boy, you guys get a broad range of topics going here.
The Radio Shack comment really got things going in the chat over here. Everybody misses Radio Shack, man. It's funny. I worked there for a little while, and I was able to go, and you can only do this on the manager's computer in the back. You go look at basically what the markup is for anything that they sell in the store, and all those little components and stuff had a 2,000 to 3,000% markup on them. But hey, you could go get stuff, and it was there, and you could finish your project that day. But yeah, I remember the first couple times I tried an electronics project, I went to Radio Shack to buy all the stuff, and I'd get a pack of 5 resistors and some wire and just a couple little things, and it'd be $35. I was in college. I was like, holy crap. This thing I'm building, I could just buy one for $5 more. But yeah, there's something to be said about electronics stores where you go buy that stuff, The trick nowadays is to have a good junk box, like Bruce said. You can go steal components out of old television, broadcast exciters. Those are the best. Half of my station, I swear, is built from Comark parts. And, what was the other one? Comark and Larkan, yeah. I've got 2 Larkan exciters and 2 Comark exciters, and I swear there's so many good parts in those things. I've been able to build all my stuff out of just that.
Yeah, TVs, especially color TVs back in the day, before you were born. What a great source of components. One day I was over at this job site. These guys were building this, I think they were building these condos, and they had this dumpster out there. And I was going by on my bike. I didn't have a car at the time. And I saw this thing that looked like a big color TV sitting next to the dumpster. So I went over, and sure enough, that's what it was. Oh my God, what a treasure trove of components. Biked back home, got a toolkit, mostly wire cutters and screwdrivers, for taking the thing apart. And it was a hot and pussy kind of summer day. And I started taking the thing apart. I'm just I can't see. Sweat is just running into my eyes. All right, I gotta build some kind of a shelter here. So I found some large pieces of cardboard. I guess they something a refrigerator would be packed in, and I built sort of a little shelter, if you will, to keep the sun off. So now I'm sitting there with the TV chassis up on these crates and taking the thing apart. And I got the power transformer out. That was like the greatest haul right there. I had a cardboard box, and I pulled all the tubes out. No, I didn't need the picture tube. What are you going to do with that? That's just dangerous. But took that out, got some filter caps, got some other components out of there, some inductors, all good stuff, some high voltage power supply caps. And just as I'm packing everything up and trying to figure out how to get this box on the back of my bicycle, I'm starting to walk away, and I hear this guy scream at the top of his lungs. There's a loud bang, the guy screamed, and I look back, and I see this thing come flying out of the sky somewhere and smash against where I just was, and it burst into flames, totally knocking down the cardboard shelter that I put together. So what the hell just happened? Well, there was Bill, you'll like this, there was a power panel, one of those temporary power panels that you set up at job sites. Well, it was mounted up on like the second or third story of this building, and apparently some construction equipment caught the power feed line and pulled it off whatever it was attached to, and so it swung down like a vine, and the power panel came down, and when it hit the shelter where I was, it hit something hard. Maybe it hit the dumpster or something like that, and something must have shorted and just like blew the whole thing into flames. And I was just thinking, I was sitting right in there like 17 seconds ago. Holy crap. So watched that for a moment, thought about how life would have been super short had fate gone the other way, and then ended up walking home with my bike because I couldn't attach the box of goodies to the back and expected it to stay on. But anyway, just thought I'd share that little tidbit with y'all tonight on a Saturday night. And on BCG.
Oh yeah, you got all the good like young electronics stories. You should tell the one about how a government entity keyed up your 807 transmitter one time to talk to your friends. That's a real good one. But a couple things that TVI, well, that little choke I sent you, that was TV parts, like something old. I wonder if you ever used that for anything. And then the other thing I wanted to throw out there is somebody came in the chat. They are receiving us on an RTL SDR LNA with a 20-foot piece of coax laid on the floor. He said he's down in Philly area. He hears you okay, which, I'm surprised you're all the way up there in Connecticut, and he hears me pretty good on that. So both of our stations are working very well. But yeah, that was three things. W2BTK.
Well, depending upon what his house is made out of, his house or apartment or wherever he is made out of, you might get much better performance out of that if the antenna were more outside. So, I'm not sure how he has that coax hooked up to his RTL, but it would be, I don't know, there's probably a couple of things that could make it better.
He says he lives in the city, and, like you said, his antenna is just a piece of coax on the floor. But, so I'd assume, I don't know, he's got some concrete around. Probably not the best. But, how about the story of the time the government personnel keyed up your 807 transmitter to talk to your friends?
Yeah, that's kind of an obscure story.
Well, fine then.
Well, I mean, the amount of explaining, like, if I told you the story, being into ham radio and everything like that, you get it. But if I was telling that story to I would probably never tell that story to to someone who wasn't really interested in radio, because it would take too much explaining.
Yeah, well, that's okay. Oh gosh, so lots of funny stuff has happened in this chat, Clark. See, I got corrected. I said Connecticut, and I was corrected. They told me that I mispronounced it. It's Connecticut.
No, you made that up.
Hey, thanks for the follow, Sis. Yo, glad you're having fun, man.
No, I did not make that up. I'll scroll up. Let's see. Where did he say that? NS8104 said correction. Ginadigut. Ginadigut. I wouldn't be able to spit that out unless I was reading it off a screen.
It's because you're not from Connecticut.
I thought it started with a G, like Ginadigut.
Apparently he thinks so, and I live here. It's Connecticut.
Connecticut. The A is like very drawn out, in other words. Connecticut.
I was driving this couple of years ago on New York State Thruway, and this car passed me. It was a white Beamer, late model Beamer, and the license plate was NOOYAWK, New York. That was funny. And yes, it was a New York State license plate.
New York. I saw one. It was like a Honda with one of those fart can mufflers on it. You know, like they sound like. And his license plate was that. It was VRRRR. Or no. It was BWAAAAA. Like wah. Also, very cool stuff happening here. Somebody was complaining that they got an ad when they loaded the page. So, my boy Steve gifted him a sub so he doesn't have to see any more ads. How cool is that? Clark, this is a pretty cool community going on here. I'm very sad that you don't want to be a part of it.
I know, you guys are more interesting than those ant farms where, you're all living in a little double-sided plastic container with sand in it, and then you shake it up and all the ants get buried alive. Well, anyway, I probably digress.
Let's see. We're both being picked up in Denville, New Jersey, using a wideband receiver. Oh, a Yaesu VX8 handheld with a VHF rubber duck antenna. And we're both coming in S6, S7. And he's indoors. Wow. Clark, your stuff works.
How about that? I can be picked up on a rubber disket.
Yeah, tuned for VHF frequencies.
Well, isn't that a multi-band radio? It just uses the antenna for whatever.
I guess so, but he says he's got a VHF rubber duck antenna on it.
I think that's maybe what it looks like, but a lot of those radios, that's a very high impedance antenna. It's like an active antenna. Car radio antennas are like that. You'd say, well, not anymore. Now they're little shark fins. But, back in the day, like 4 years ago, when vehicles had actual antennas on them, you'd look at that and say, how the hell is a 2.5, 3 foot long whip going to pick up any AM? I mean, yeah, okay, FM, but how's it going to pick up? But the reality of that is that it's a very high impedance antenna. Here we go, technical BS. But anyway, it's possible for a very short antenna to work.
Well, and it is, and we're being heard just fine on it. S8, S9, I mean, that's not a low signal. That's, decent. And Gary says we're S6 in Indiana, so the band seems a little bit local, but we're still making it out there, which is amazing for me. I mean, I'm not surprised that you're doing well out there, but for me, with all that high-angle only antenna, that's not bad.
All right, so what questions do your peeps have?
Oh, you want to do like a Clark Q&A? Let's get that fired up. But let's see who asks some questions in the chat, and I will relay them to you, Clark, which apparently is fine, as long as I'm not talking to them over the air.
Right. But also it doesn't have to be questions for me. It can be questions for either of us.
The DY rig is back.
It is?
Yeah, this is it.
Did you put a new coil in?
Yes, I did.
I can tell you're talking very softly. Don't want to blow anything up, right?
Well, I have, I'm hitting pretty close to 100% mark. A little bit more on peak. I'm only running 200 watts out though, so there you go. But I don't know what was wrong with it. Bruce says he has no idea. I've never seen it before.
It's that highly reactive antenna you've got. That's what set it off.
All right, well, carry on. I just thought I'd let you know.
Well, that's very impressive. I guess the selling price went right back up to $800. Nice.
Yeah.
Things were looking grim for a minute.
Oh, it doesn't matter to me.
Didn't Bread say that?
All right, Clark, we got 2 questions.
I like that. Group questions. What are the questions and who are they directed to?
They're all directed to you. First being, what are the winning lottery numbers? Second, what is Mr. Ed's call sign?
Okay, the winning lottery number is 446925. That's the Pick 6 lottery. I just don't know which day that'll be for. But anyway, that is the winning lottery number, 446925.
And Mr. Ed's call sign?
Yes. He actually has an overseas, you probably didn't know this, but he has a overseas call sign. It's not like K or W or N or anything like we have in the U.S. It's actually, Mr. Ed has a ham radio license in Honduras, so it's H0RSE.
Wow, that makes that makes sense.
There you go.
Oh, gosh, it's a lot of fun. I heard Brett out there on the K7 DI rig. It sounded decent.
Oh boy.
This is his Exumathon transmission.
Yes. I don't know what happened or why. And I'm glad it was nothing actually crapped out. It burned up a coil. I don't know why, but none of the other parts seem to have failed.
You know, this is almost a biblical moment here. We've got a K7 DYY rig that has risen from the ashes, quite literally.
Wow, ashes.
Now, how did you get the impedance of the new coil to match the old one? Did you have enameled wire of that gauge?
Yeah, I have a lot of enameled wire, and it was 5 tons, and I wound, it's about maybe 3/4 of an inch round, and it has 5 turns, and I just wound it on, I actually wound it on a coax coupler, and scraped and pinned the wires and put it in there, and away you go. I asked him what those coils do. I don't know what they do. I don't know if they're part of a...
Clark, you got another question.
Or the DC coupling, RF blocking. I don't know exactly what they're doing.
Did you ask him?
Yeah, he hasn't responded yet. I had to work all day today. I had to go all the way down to Cape May and walk around down there for hours, so I didn't get to it till later.
Hey, Clark, you got another question from the chat directed specifically at you.
You know, folks, Billy is your host, and it would probably be good to direct some questions to him. So, well, I'll entertain one more here, but y'all, and that's Y''ALL, really should be coming up with some questions for Bill. Okay, so last question for tonight. Fire away.
All right, well, 2 questions came in during that time when you were saying that. Well, actually, there's 2 questions total. So, first one, for Clark, LOL. If you could morph 2 animals to make one super animal, what 2 animals would you choose? The second question, if you could run any radio on any band, what would it be and why?
All right, the 2 animals would be a spider. Actually, spiders aren't really animals, so this may not work. But I was thinking a spider and a bird because can you imagine how many girls would be freaked out if spiders could actually fly? I think a lot of them would say that would be the end of them. Just, it would freak them out that much. That would be entertaining, flying spiders. And, okay, what was the second one? If I could run any rig on any band, what would it be?
And why?
I think I'm actually doing that. I have gotten the most use out of this band than probably all the others combined. Although all the bands have got their benefits, but 75 meters has been the one that's just seems to work the best. Because you can go up in frequency and talk further, but it's less reliable. And 75 meters has been very reliable for talking to the same old friends day and night after day and night, for years. So it's like hanging out with your peeps, and it's worked out very well. And as far as rig, maybe a K7 DYY transmitter, if anyone could figure out how to not have them catch on fire. Anyway, if not that, then the homemade one that I've got right here, which has yet to catch on fire. Okay, and one BCG.
Oh, hold on. There was a stipulation that came in along with that second question. They want to know, including broadcast.
Well, I have had some varied experience on the broadcast bands, much of which probably can't be reiterated here, but I certainly do have my favorite frequencies.
And what are they? Come on, man.
See, there you go. That's a topic for another medium.
All right, fair enough. enough. I'll just tell him to screw off, you know. Sorry, Clark doesn't want to answer your question, but at least my cat's really cute. Check her out.
Why do you look like you should be working at a gas station in Canada?
I don't know. Everyone says that, though. I don't know what it is about my appearance that makes me look like a Canadian gas station attendant, but apparently I do.
Hi, Billy. Hey, you fixed your audio.
I didn't touch a damn thing, Brett.
I know.
Yeah. No, it's the band was all screwed up last night.
And now for a question for Bill.
Go ahead, Clark.
Well, I don't know. Your peeps should be concocting one right now as we speak.
They don't want to ask me You are the superstar of this channel. I just run it. I mean, it's all about Clark. They literally chant your name all the time.
These people sound like ringers.
It's all about Clark.
Have him ask Brett a question.
Yeah, they should ask Brett a question. Brett homebrews more stuff than anyone I know.
But I don't know anything. Hey, Clark, who did you build that transmitter, or was it pre-assembled?
The transmitter that I have was originally a Stu AB2EZ transmitter, except that he and I had wildly different opinions on how things should go. So in my case, I needed it to be rack mounted. I needed the power supply and the RF deck to be separate, and I needed to have lots and lots of monitoring on it. So it was basically brought back down to its component levels, divided into two parts, and installed into two separate chassis, and built from the ground back up again with somewhat different construction practices. But so I would say basically I got the parts from Stu, but it's still it's sort of like a twice homemade rig.
Okay, I'm kind of curious. What was the initial build quality like?
It was fine, although Stu and Steve QIX have very similar design tastes, I guess.
Okay, I know what that means. Okay, because he's I guess he's a doctor of electrical engineering. I haven't heard him on in a long time. I haven't seen any posts from him either. I don't know what the deal is with him, but normally, people, it's a rare engineer that has a high level of construction skill.
I worked Stu on FT8 a couple of weeks ago, and by the way, they're chanting Brett in the chat now.
Oh no! Oh, so I guess he's on. Well, that works. I think he ended up in an apartment with an indoor antenna, and I guess AM didn't really hack it. So this thing seems to have lost some of the highs in it. I wonder if that's something going on. Huh. Anyway, boy, it's good to hear he's still out there floating around. He was an interesting character.
He was one of my first contacts when I got back into amateur radio in '06.
Yeah, when he was on in his old, when he lived in a house, he had a pretty good signal because he was pretty close, and he had a pretty good signal. He was on fairly often, and he was always going on about technical things. Sometimes it was a little over my head with the scientific stuff, but very heavy on the theory. Man, I'd hate to have him as my professor in college.
You know what the thing about Stu is?
To his house, Bernardsville, I believe it was, in New Jersey, where he used to live. So I went there to go get the E-rig, basically. And since he was cleaning up to move, he had all kinds of other stuff. And he said, do you have any use for this? Do you have any use for this? And it's like, well, yeah. And then he made like an offer you can't refuse price on some of that stuff. And then it got to the point where he was just like throwing stuff in, because I guess I was writing out, all these checks to him one after another. And so then he just started figuring like, I'll throw him a couple of bones. And he gave me some freebie stuff too. So he was really a generous guy. And we talked about, Class E technology and stuff. And yeah, I remember standing there listening to him talk about it, thinking like, I feel like I should be sitting down at a desk taking notes. I'm not, I don't think I'm absorbing all of this standing here, listening to this sort of like one-on-one lecture.
Yeah, I know he had a KW1, and that went to Buzz. It's up in Rhinebeck. And funny, but it had a, I don't know when it started, but it had a problem when it got there, and Buzz fixed it. It would kind of, the VFO would kind of go whoop, when you keyed up, and you could see it on the pan adapter and say, you knew who it was. But yeah, I think that probably paid for Stu's retirement.
Hey Brett, I've got some questions from the chat here. People are asking you questions. Are you game to answer some questions?
Yeah, but I don't know what I'm talking about. So let me turn this on so I got halfway decent audio. Let's see. That's better. Yeah, I probably won't know the answers though.
No, they're easy questions. So question number one was they want to know what kind of mic you're using right now. And then somebody else, the question is a little rude, but they want to know why you sound muffly.
Yeah, that's because I have my compressor turned off. The microphone is an Audio-Technica M8000, but I had the compressor turned off because otherwise it hits the transmitter too hard, and then smoke pours out of it. It does, but yeah, I need to get an EQ if I run this microphone. Microphones change with age. They change the characteristics with age, and some of them get muffled. Most of them get muffled. The older they get stiff, I guess. And the large diaphragm electric condensers, they get spit all over them, and they lose the highs also. And that might be what's happening. Matter of fact, I think I bought another one of these just in case. These are like, I really splurged. I think they were almost $30, and then I had to pay shipping.
Well, there you go. One of the chat says you need pre-emphasis.
Yeah, it's the microphone. There really is no EQ on this thing. I have what I'm actually running at the moment, I got to get the D104 hooked up. This is an old Behringer Ultra Voice VX2000, which is a nice box. It kind of has everything in one. It's got a mic or line, input. It's got a phantom power on or off. It's got a phase inverter. It's got a low cut, which I'll turn on. A low cut filter. It has an expander, which works.
That would have made everyone jealous.
It has a threshold, and what it does, I just turned it on. It just reduces the gain, which is settable when you don't turn. It's much more transparent than most of them are. It's got tube emulation. I don't know what that's supposed to be. Maybe it adds distortion. I don't want that. It's got a compressor, which has a threshold, a release time constant, an output level, and an enhancer, normal and bright. And then it has a voice optimized EQ, but it's only really 2. You get to pick the frequency that you're going to cut. I got like 220 hertz cut. It's got a presence. I got presence rise. I got that all the way up. It's 8 dB. And then it's got a breath, which is your. But that goes. That's like pretty high frequency stuff. And it's got an opto de-esser, which doesn't really work. The light lights up, but it doesn't seem to do anything. So it's I think it was brand new. It was $90. But balanced input, balanced output, 1 rack unit. For the money, a lot of people used to run them, back when dinosaurs roamed the earth. And before all these broadcast audio stuff started getting really popular. So that's giving the DIY a workout. I got it up to about 220 watts now. I'm going to keep turning it up until smoke comes out.
Don't forget to make a wish.
Alright. There's 250 watts. It only does 1,000 watts PEP, but I don't know. So I'm seeing if I can blow the thing up. The SWR 1.3 to 1. So far so good. We'll see what happens. And it has not been out, except if I bump the table.
You mean your antenna tuner can't get it down below 1.3 to 1?
What antenna tuner is that?
Oh, that's the entire thing here. You're missing the tuning circuit for the transmitter.
Well, my SWR is low, so what do I need that for? Plus, the transmitter won't allow me to tune the tuner because it trips out before I can tune the tuner.
If you had a personally I hate coax to coax antenna tuners because I don't think they do anything. But in this particular case, it would make a world of difference because that antenna tuner would shield the transmitter from any reactance. You'd probably get full power out of it if you had an antenna tuner.
Well, that's the drawback, is how do I would have to hook the antenna tuner up. I would have to connect up another transmitter. I would have to adjust the antenna, then I have to disconnect the other transmitter and connect the DIY and then talk into it. I mean, that's kind of inconvenient.
No, I think that it should tune up. It's pretty robust at 20 watts or whatever it tunes up at. I forget. I think it's a percentage of your final output power. But if you were to, for example, turn the carrier power down and then switch it to tune, now the tune would be low. It would have a lot of headroom on it, and I know at 20 watts it should be operated into a paper clip and it should not trip out. I get that. I agree with that. But I'm just saying from my own experiences, and then once you document the antenna, you could say, okay, if I'm operating on 38 whatever, set the tuning control for this. Literally, the antenna tuner is part of that transmitter. Literally, the Class D transmitters are everything except for the output section, to keep costs down, with the assumption that you've got an antenna tuner. I think that is the crux. I think that's the core of what's going wrong here.
Yeah, well, at the moment it's working, so, alright, I'm going to turn the carrier power down. I turned down maybe 150 watts here. And I'm going to hook my antenna tuner up and see if I can tune it. So, you gentlemen carry on while I manipulate the apparatus.
So you do have an antenna tuner. Boy, when Brett says he's leaving, he's not kidding.
He's out, man. Geez, 1.3, that's where my antenna tuner tells me, like, nope, you can't transmit right now. Which, as everybody knows, happened last night. That was, that thing kicked right out. I got an SWR alarm, and I had to go retune. I think my feed line got all wet. But, we're pretty good now. We're about a 1.0 to 1. Well, actually, slightly. It's still 1.0 to 1 here on 73, but it's not perfect 50 ohms. I got about 53 ohms down here. Still zero reactance, though. So we're showing very, very, very low reflected power.
Yeah, the thing with Class D rigs is it's not the resistance. I mean, it is to some extent, but it is much more the reactance that'll really mess them up. And they do need to see an optimal load, so that's probably what's going on. Now I'm starting to... So I was wondering if Brett would say that he got it. He has a 1.3 to 1 SWR, it should be fine. It's like, really? They should be able to get a 1-to-1 match with an antenna tuner. And then as y'all heard, what antenna tuner? It's like the big aha moment happened right there. It's like, yep. That's it, folks. If you purchase a K7 DYY transmitter, you got to keep this in mind. You're getting the whole transmitter except for the output tuning circuit, because the assumption is, well, people all have antenna tuners, right? So that's like beyond mesmerizingly important. So I think things are going to go real well for Brett going forward with that antenna tuner. Okay. And one BCG, good evening, everyone.
Here's a good one, Clark.
I thought I was done answering questions.
Well, I legally I can't talk directly to these people over the air. So if the gentleman who was receiving us on a 20-foot piece of coax with his LNA, if he were to hook up a 9-to-1 balun to his 20-foot piece of coax, would it improve reception, or is he wasting his money?
No, that would improve reception, because here's what's going on. The SDR has a low impedance input, and the 9-to-1 matching transformer basically would convert the impedance of a relatively short antenna, or a longer one, down to 50 ohms or whatever the SDR wants to see. And I'm guessing that when he says he's using coax for an antenna, he's not literally just connecting the coax to the SDR and leaving the shield connected and all that, because I don't think that would work very well at all. So I'm kind of guessing that he's got coax, but he doesn't have the shield part of it connected. He's just connecting the coax to the center pin of the antenna connector on his SDR, because that would provide a lot more signal level. The only thing is it's going to be noisy as hell in that apartment. So best bet, either connect the coax to the SDR like you would normally connect coax to it, and then take the free end and attach, like a wire of some length that you can connect to it and over by a window, or drop it out a window, even better, have it outside, and connect that only to the center pin of the coax. So you've got your actual antenna lead connected just to the center of the coax, and then that coax runs over to your RTL receiver, and it's connected normally. The coax is connected as you would expect to connect it to the antenna connector on the receiver. That should provide much better results. There you go.
Alright, I got the antenna tuner in line. I can't get it down to nothing. I think I got it lower. Still only getting 1,000 watts. I'm not getting any more power out of it. Hold on, let me try and tune this a little bit. I'm at 200 watts. And when I turn the power down far enough, it doesn't put anything out in the tune position. I had to go to full power and put out, like, I don't know, 20, 30 watts or something in order to get it to stay on and allow the tuning. Let me see if I can get a little better.
Clark, he's running out there to go. He had the shield connected. He's going to go lop the connector off and disconnect the shield as per our recommendation. Look, this stuff's happening in real time.
No, don't cut the plug off. Just unscrew it. So only the pin is on the inside. Don't ruin the connector.
What the meter's saying, nothing. It's very touchy. It's no fun at all. Changing frequencies, I don't think. I'm still getting 900,000 watts with a 200 watt carrier, so I'm not buying it's necessary.
No, it is necessary, because you're not going to get more power out of it. Now it's not going to trip off. That's what I'm saying. You're going to be able to turn it up. So, you should get 375 watts carrier with no modulation out of it now without it tripping off. But of course, who knows where the trip off pot should be set at this point.
No, I could do that before. I could get 400 watts carrier out of it before into the antenna. That wasn't a problem. It's the peak power. Yay! Doesn't really go over. A meter saying it's not really going over like 900,000 watts PEP. So if I turn it up to 300 watts, I'm not going to get 100% positive modulation. Here, I'll do it. And I get the smoke to come out more. It's about 190 watts. There's 250. I'm getting 100% both directions. Here's 300 watts. I'm getting 80% positive. 900 watts PEP. Here's like 300 and maybe 25 watts. And I'm getting 70% positive. It turned down to a little over 200. Yes, that's the problem. I don't get the peak power out of it. And I don't get it out on 80, and I don't get it out on 40. It does, even into the dummy mode, perfect, no reactance. It does, maybe 1,000 watts PEP.
Maybe the power source is soft. If you've got it connected to, too many extension cords and stuff like that, it doesn't have a good, solid input power source.
Oh man, that extension cord is like number 18 under the rug. Get your hand on it.
Yeah, there you go.
No, it's plugged directly in. It comes with a thick shielded power cord. I don't know that I could try a different outlet or something. I have tried different ones, but I don't know. At least it's not crapping out. But I personally don't think if the SWR is reasonable, I don't think the antenna tuner is doing anything for me.
Yes, it is. It'll stop the trip outs and the overload trip outs. How about putting a AC voltmeter on the same outlet that the transmitter's plugged into, and then just giving it a nuclear like that, and then seeing if your AC supply voltage drops.
Yuri, I just tried that.
Yeah, just like that. Now, Bill, I hope your friend with the coax antenna is not cutting that connector off. That would be a crime.
He ran away to go try it. I don't think he saw the chat that I did like quickly after telling him not to. So, hey man, it is what it is. He could have easily just got a piece of scrap wire or something like that and jammed it in the connector. That would have worked just as well. But he'll be back. We'll see. He's gonna have better reception no matter what.
Well, that's true. I just hate the idea that he just screwed up his coax. All right, you people. Someone ask a question of Bill. Everyone else has been answering questions
I got
except for the
119. And I keyed a transmitter.
He just keyed right on top of you.
0.2. Yay. And it goes 117 when I modulate heavily. That's in the same outlet as the transmitter is plugged into.
So what is it when there's no mod and then it goes down to 117?
119.5 with unkeyed. 117.2 with no modulation. 117 with a yay-low.
Oh, there you go. You got a squishy outlet.
Yeah, you should go out to your meter pan and check and see if that neutral wire is nice and tight in there. I bet it's probably glowing right now.
No, it is. Well, I'll try a different outlet. Hold on.
Wow, 117 volts. I don't think I've seen voltage that low in a long time.
Clark, the chat wants to know if you use a mechanical keyboard.
For what?
Typing.
You mean like an IBM Selectric 2 typewriter?
Yeah, like here, hold on, let me move my mic over here.
That's not a mechanical keyboard, that's electronic. Oh, well, so what? They're asking, do I use like a keyboard or like a keypad? A keyboard like on an iPad, or is that what the difference is? Whether it's like a full QWERTY keyboard or I type on an iPad, is that the question?
No, they want to know if you have like the clicky keys, the real clicky keys, a gamer keyboard.
I don't have a keyboard within reach here, but yes, I have. If that's what they're calling a mechanical keyboard, yeah, I've got those.
What games do you play?
Head games.
Oh, here's a good one. What's that clunk when Clark keys up?
I swear you've got to be making these things up. This transmitter, when it was rebuilt, a lot of stuff had to be switched to go into transmit, and so I had this relay, which was ginormous. It was a 4-pole double throw. Oh my God, technical talk. Anyway, it's like 5 by 5 inches, 120 volt relay. I don't know where the hell I got it, but anyway, it was like the biggest thing I had, and I mounted that on the chassis. Turned out to be kind of near the center. Okay, that was dumb move number 1. Actually, no, that was the dumb move. The contacts were rated at like multi-amps each anyway, but it had to turn on the power supply for the modulator, and it had to turn on 2 RF modules. So it had to turn 3. It had to provide power to 3 different things at the same time. which is great. So it was overkill. It works great because of that, but it's mounted in the center of an aluminum chassis, and when I key up and it closes violently, it causes the whole chassis to act like a loudspeaker, like a big metal aluminum chassis thick loudspeaker that causes the clunk in the room. So there you go. You made me admit it. Nice going.
Okay. Well, thank you, Clark. So our buddy's back. He got rid of the ground, and it significantly raised the noise floor, and reception is slightly better. Unfortunately, it's still not enough to understand Clark.
That has been the case with a lot of people. They hear me, but they don't understand me. So everything you're doing is normal.
What?
Wait, what? No, but that's, the noise floor jumping up is, you've got more sensitive receive now. You're pulling it all in. That's welcome to summertime on 80 meters, Lightning crashes, high noise floors. Whew.
Tell him to turn his RF gain down.
He heard you.
Well, do it. Not to get bossy or anything.
I really miss my clank. Like, I can hear it. It clunks hard, but there's a closed door between me and the clunk, so the mic doesn't pick it up anymore. But you remember when I used to have like a very, very manly clack when I keyed up? Those were the days. Now it's just, I'm very polite.
Yeah.
Oh, I got my D104 hooked up.
You went from farting to tooting. I learned years ago that women don't fart, they toot. Did you know that? And you went from having a very manly clunk to sort of an effeminate key-up sound, which whatever that is. So there you go, Bill. It's good to, get in touch with your feminine side.
No, you're wrong. Women don't toot, they don't fart, they fluff.
Did somebody say fart?
Yes, fart.
Fart! AB3AL.
I prefer the more clinical term flatulate.
Involuntary methane disbursement.
Have you guys seen that stuff called poo-pourri?
Is that right after the commercial for the Squatty Potty?
No, it's this stuff, right? And you spray it in your toilet bowl on the toilet water, and it creates like a film over the water, and it seals in all the stinky stuff. So like when you plop down, when you drop the Cosby kids off at the pool there, they go through and it breaks the film, and then the surface tension just brings the film right back over it, and it smells like this stuff smells like flowers. So basically all the stinkiness is trapped underneath this film that's on the surface of the water, and all you smell is flowers. It's called poo-pourri.
You're going to have a BLM protest at your house tomorrow.
What?
What?
I've been saying drop the Cosby kids off for years, okay? And it's been fine, always.
He said Cosby kids. I'm triggered.
Well, let's cancel that. It's what else do you want to cancel tonight?
Well, let's see.
Boy, that's the most constructive use of cancel culture I've yet seen.
Now, if we could just cancel the Democrat Party, I would be happy. AB3OL.
Hey, Al. Well, at least I got a laugh out of KB8 SMU. He thought that was pretty funny. I gotta urinate. I'll be back. W2BTK on Montana Mountain.
You want to know the original meaning of BLM? It's Bill Leaks Methane.
Yeah, and BCG stands for Bill Case's grandpa.
They can let us in us. I think the best thing I saw all week was those idiots tore down the statue of Frederick Douglass. We only knew who he actually was.
Well, there's no requirement to read the plaques underneath the statues.
I know. Only the first black man elected to Congress. Yeah, let's tear down his statue.
Well, if you look at the crowds doing that, it's mostly white people.
And that's the other thing I can't figure out. Alright, enough of this political talk. How big's your vacuum tube?
You know, I don't discuss things like that because it would sound like bragging.
Oh, hold on. I'll look up the data sheet. Bayer, like the stuff you take when you have a headache, Bayer, he was asking me about the size of the vacuum tube, and he was so specific. I had to look up the data sheet and give him, like, exact measurements. So I'm going to do that again because it's good practice.
There you go, folks. The Care Bear of the air chair, looking for those exact specifications.
Yep. Change Mama Pancake Syrup is racist because she only made multiple millions of dollars for selling her recipe and likeness.
Well, let's think about this. Do you really want to take all black person images off of everything marketing? I mean, what is that going to do? Really? Okay, so no more black person faces on anything. I don't get it. How does that make everything right?
All right, I've got the data sheet pulled up here. Do you really want to know how large the tube is?
Fuller?
So, diameter of a YC-156 is 125.43 millimeters. Okay, and the overall length, let's see, that's figure J. Look at this thing. The overall length is 206.98 millimeters. Converted to inches, it's about 8.267 inches long. Like tall, I should say.
That must be the Asian version.
I don't know, 8.2 inches. That's healthy.
3.6 inches is healthy?
8.267.
Oh, that's John Holmes' version.
Well, that's how tall my tube is.
Yeah, that's what she said.
I doubt any she said that.
Hey, baby, how big's your tube? It's 8.62 inches. Woo, boy.
8.267.
I guess it depends on where you start measuring from.
What's the kilowatts per ounce output from that there unit? Kim in.
Right. This is a great discussion. Are there any other actual legit questions, or do you just have like a complete breakdown of your video channel peeps there?
There's currently 16 people watching in the Twitch chat, so I don't know.
Is that a record?
Want to hear any questions from me? AB3 Analingus.
Oh, let's see. Anybody got any questions? Well, you heard the man.
Oh, now that's talent. So you're a professional gas bagger.
When I say, oh, Timmy, I listen to you all the time, I'm not lying.
And I can tell you've been taking notes.
That's quite a message. No questions for me, like what's my shoe size, how big are my hands, nothing?
How big are your hands?
Wouldn't you like to know?
You know what they say about large hands? You need to wear large gloves.
That's right, same thing with big feet. You need to wear big shoes.
Somebody wants to know if Clark collects tube radios as well.
I did. I have several Grundigs. I've had more. I've had a lot of tube radios, but now I'm down to, let's see, 1, 2. Wow, really? 2? Do I only have 2 tube radios? Yes. I only have 2 vacuum tube radios. Well, yeah, receivers. Oh my God, that's very few.
Clark has pubes on his nightstand. Oh, wait, no, you said tubes.
You know, that's amazing. When I think about it, how many vacuum tube receivers that I've had, or just anything, you know, vacuum tube receivers, transmitters, and all that stuff, and now it's down to I have 2? Wait a minute, because I got the tube collection here. Yeah, that's to maintain, hold on a second, that Grundig, this one, so I got a 1968 Grundig, a 1953 Grundig, I've got the Viking Valiant. Sorry about me thinking out loud on the air, but, you know, what the hell. You get to hear the hellified sound when I realize it. Yeah, it's true. That's it. I have 3 tube-based radio equipment things here. Wow.
Yeah, when Frank KB3AHE was missing for money and his health was failing, I went down there with a fistful of cash and said, here, give me what you think this is worth. And that's basically the extent of the 2 rigs I have, plus what I had from when me and my father first got into ham radio. All of our rigs were tube. Dad's not really into it anymore, and a couple of years ago he handed me everything and said, I don't know if it works or not, just I know you'll use it, take it home.
Boy, that sounds like a bittersweet moment.
Nah, he kept the Kenwood 950, the Kenwood 440, the Kenwood 930, I mean all the solid state stuff he kept. Brad was big on Kenwood. He seemed to really like it.
It sounds that way.
I just finally got him on Whisper with a Raspberry Pi, and he's really digging that. He never wanted to talk on the radio. He just wanted to either do CW or some kind of digital mode. He was a very, very shy person.
that brings up a whole other topic for another time, but Bill and I have talked about that quite a bit. I'll give you the synopsis of it. I have declared, which really wigs out the ham radio community, but I think FT8 is God's gift to amateur radio. And you say that and a lot of people there, and they lose their minds. They want to drag you through the town square and chase you down with pitchforks and torches and stuff, talking like that about FT8. Absolutely. Because here's the thing. What's the number one phobia that human beings have? It's not spiders. It's not, dying, believe it or not. Brace yourself for this. It's public speaking. That is the number, I'm serious. That's the number one common identifiable phobia that people have. It's public speaking. And so when you say about ham radio, you can talk to hundreds of strangers all over the world. It just basically freaks people out. And so why are they going to want to get their general so they can do that? Are you serious? Tech is scary enough, talking to people locally, never mind talking some distance, and paying a lot more money for the equipment to do it. It's another freak out right there. But along comes FT8. For example, that's just one of the many digital ones, but I'll just use that because it's very popular. Now you can get into HF. You can get into communicating around the world. You can learn about antennas and tuning and output power and propagation and all that stuff, and do everything imaginable with your general class ticket, and never have to pick a microphone up and think of what to say to somebody. How magical does that make FT8? Damn right, very. N1 BCG.
That's my dad. Me personally, I have no filter. And I don't give two craps if I humiliate myself. I think it's funny. My dad, on the other hand, you'll never get more than yes or no out of him. He's got his extra. I mean, that wasn't hard. He was a central office technician for the phone company, working on their Unix-based network switches. That wasn't hard for him to get. Just get on the air was the hardest part. When I was a kid in high school, I installed a dual band radio in his truck, and he would drive home from work, and I would have to call him just to get him to get on the dang air. He just would not do it, but he was always listening.
Did he ever do CW?
No, he absolutely hated CW. At one point at the Hamfest, and he's passed on now, but we had in our ham radio club, we had a World War II and Korean War radio officer. He'd achieved Master Chief. And this guy would drink Pabst Blue Ribbon like it was going out of style. And at field day, me and him would sit down. I would run the logbook and he would run the key. And that man did not know anything under about 50 words per minute. And he always wanted me to run the logbook because I was the only one that could frickin' copy what the hell he was sending and receiving. But my dad, he got his extra after the code requirement was dropped.
This brings up a very interesting question. So if your dad wasn't into CW and he wasn't into talking on the air, what was he getting out of having an extra class ticket? I mean, if you're just receiving all the time, you don't even need a license at all.
My dad loved to build equipment. He would build transmitters. He would build receivers. Never use them. He would get done and hand it to me.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing, is you don't need a license for any of that. The only time you need a license is to actually operate transmitters. So it sounds like He actually didn't even need a ham radio license.
No, he didn't, but he wanted one since he was a kid, and as the requirements for the license lessened and lessened, I think we both got licensed in 92? Yeah, it was 92. We both got our novice/technician in the same testing session in 92. By 94, I had my extra. Dad just recently got his extra, like whenever they dropped the code requirement.
I think that was in 2007.
Yeah. And the trick was, our first radio that we had, the reason why I excelled at code, we had a pair of Heathkit twins, SB300 and 401 transmitter combo, and there was something wrong with it where it would not work on voice, but it would work on CW. And I was taking electronics in Votech in junior high school, and until I learned enough to fix the damn thing, all I could do was CW. So my first 2-3 years on HF was nothing but CW. And it was great because I got up to about 40-50 words per minute. When I went in for my extra test, I had a 100% copy on the test.
Wow, so I guess you blew right through needing a straight key. What were you using, like a bug?
We went to a ham fest, and I got an MFJ, the little keyer box for the iambic paddles, but I didn't have enough allowance saved up. So I took a 2x4, and I cut a section of it, and I cut 2 little strips of wood, and I put screws into the side of them, and I made my own iambic paddle, and complete with a spring out of a ballpoint pen to return the paddles back and forth. Because that was the other thing. Dad made me work for everything, and when I didn't have the money for the paddle to go along with the $20 keyer, MFJ keyer that I bought, I built my own paddle. I actually still have it in a drawer. I should post a picture of that to the AM phone group on Facebook sometime.
Actually, if you really want to get a reaction, post it to the straight key. Hold on a second. On QRZ, I forget the name of the forum, but it's look at it on QRZ. There's something like straight key or something or other. They would just go nuts over that.
Yeah, and I cut 1/4-inch strips of pressure-treated lumber, and I drilled a hole through it. I took a pop rivet, and I drove that through the hole into the 2x4 base, and that was the pivot for the paddles that I made to go with this keyer.
Stray Keys CW Enthusiasts is the name of the forum. That's fantastic. Yep. I remember when I first started doing CW, I was in high school, and apparently these ham radio operators in the area decided that they wanted to hold a radio or start a radio club, and it was all about getting your ham radio ticket, and I didn't care. I mean, what was I going to do with a ham radio ticket? You know, when you're that age, who cares? But one of the things they made us do is learn the Morse code. And there didn't seem to be much utility in that until my roommate picked up on it also. Then it became interesting because now we were able to communicate amongst ourselves and particularly in front of other students. And they'd have no idea what we're talking about. And we would start making comments about them and then laughing at each other. And that would really piss people off. And then it became totally worth it. So yes, that was the dark and sordid beginnings of my involvement in CW.
Oh, I got an even better one. My in junior high through high school, I went half a day to vocational center, and my electronics teacher was a radioman in the Korean War, and then went to the Bainbridge Naval Academy in Maryland and taught electronics. And he was my electronics teacher in high school, junior high through high school. One day he had us making an oscillator, as just learn how to make an oscillator, how it works. And I made the oscillator on the breadboard, and I started sending Morse code, and it was Mr. Boyle is a dick, Mr. Boyle is a jerk, it just cussed him out in Morse code. And right in front of the class, he says, I know you're, and he smoked 2 packs of frickin' Winstons a day. I was a naval radio operator. I know Morse code, right?
Oh, boy.
You know what you're going to be doing for the rest of the week, right?
So he wasn't impressed even a little bit?
No, he wasn't. But this was the same guy. Votech is where all the miscreants used to end up. And there was this one student in our class who was an absolute F-up. And he would take pieces of wire and he would twist them together, and he would make slingshot darts out of them by taking solder and soldering it at the end. He would make a U out of a piece of wire and solder drag a drop of solder into a point, and then take a rubber band and shoot me in the back of the head. And one day the kid wired up my chair, my bench stool, to electric, and I sat down and I got thrown across the room. And good old Mr. Boyle looked at me and says, well, you got 2 choices. All the classrooms had doors in the school. They all had doors to the outside, to the parking lot in the back. And in his Winston-Salem voice, he would say, you got 2 choices. I can send his butt to the office, or you can drag him out back and whip the shit out of him, and I won't see anything. I took choice number 2.
Wow, so that kind of, now, was that before or after the Morse code incident?
That was after. That was after. He actually respected me because I turned everything in on time, and I got perfect scores on everything. And he hated the other kids. He tried to get them expelled half a dozen times. So, I screwed up that day, but I proved my salt, and I proved that I paid attention and I could do the work. Once later, down at me, he's like, look, y'all can go out back and you can whoop the crap out of him, and I won't see anything. So we did. And the other kid came back into the classroom bloody, crying. And he said, well, you got what you deserved. I don't want to hear shit.
Boy, those were the good old days, huh? Well, Bill, you remember those from school? No.
I remember, I was probably one of the last generations where it was acceptable for your parents, when you're misbehaving in public, to rip your pants down, take off the belt, and just tan your hide in public. And, people would walk by and just be like, well, yeah, he was probably misbehaving. Can't do that anymore. That was back in, the late 80s. I was 3, 4, 5 years old. And I got the crap kicked out of me by my dad, but none of my younger siblings got that treatment, because by the 90s it was kind of not okay to do that. But I mean, I remember that. Probably one of the last generations that remembers getting the crap kicked out of you when you misbehaved.
I'll be back. The pistol and sack is full.
I can't believe how quiet the Twitchosphere has been.
Oh no, while you guys were talking, I panned the camera over to the kiddie area in my living room, and I was playing with the cat on stream. It was a big hit.
Right, so they missed all this good conversation. Oh, well.
heard it. The pan adapter was going. It's just a webcam that's usually facing me while I'm talking on, my transmitter. I turned it around to face the living room, and I was playing with my cat. So they saw you guys on the waterfall, and they were hearing your entire conversation, but they were watching me play with my cat.
What a surreal entertainment experience.
Norway one, radio with Steve Papa.
And they say, sorry, Clark, pussy's more entertaining.
Especially video. And who's the breaking station?
Norway 1, radio with Steve Papa. You got Papa Fury. Wired from Middlebury, Connecticut. Just stopping in to say hello. Sounds pretty good. Everybody's pinning my deal as usual. Got his phone from you up here. I put aside for a minute for you. How's the copy open?
Well, as what was it, Ray Charles, I think, said, it seems like it's raining all over the world. Oh no, I'm sorry, Brooke Benton sang that. Yes, it seems like it's raining all over the world. Sorry, Brooke.
Copy on that.
So, Bill, speaking of songs, did you ever check out Laurie Anderson?
Oh, the link that you sent me in the text message? No, I actually didn't click on that and listen to it.
Why do I bother?
Listen, I was very preoccupied, and you just reminded me about it, so I can listen to it now. I will cease all communication and pay attention to my text messages, because I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, it's a long song, and now it's not going to mean as much. But, what were you talking about first? Yes. When, what's the line that triggered the thought there? When, here's some wisdom, here's some 1982 Laurie Anderson wisdom for you. When love is gone, there's always justice. And when justice is gone, there's always force. And when force is gone, there's always Mom.
I'm listening to it now, Clark, but the problem with it is I'll get a copyright strike if it comes through the mic too loud. Sounds like a lot of ha, 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 and some vocoded synthesizers.
Think 1982 or 3. Yeah, so probably better for earbuds or after the Twitch so you don't get, nuked by ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, who was the other one? Oh, well, anyway.
I don't know, but it's bad news. They're really on a rip about that stuff, so I gotta be careful. It sounds like there's a modern artist that came out, Imogen Heap, who does kind of the same thing, which is now, as I see, a direct copy of this, Laurie Anderson.
I'm back.
What?
I said I'm back.
Wait, what?
I'm back in front.
What?
What?
Yeah. Now you speak my language.
Yeah, know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Key mode.
Now, my Votech teacher was the only teacher in school that I had any respect for. After he had 2 strokes while I was in class. And after I graduated, because he lived about 5 miles away, I would actually go and check up on him, and we'd go hang out at the VFW together. And I was the only student that went to his funeral. Had great respect for that man. Taught me a lot.
Wow, nice story.
Yeah, on my 21st birthday, he bought me my first beer. And in his Pomo, or his Winston-Salem voice, he said, "I'm going to teach you how to drink beer, boy."
Oh man, talking about learning from the best.
Yeah, the man died at 82 years old. He'd seen 2 wars, active duty, on a ship, and he used to laugh at me. I'd fire up a computer and send code at like 65 words. The man could copy Riddy by ear. I kid you not. I tested him twice. He could copy Riddy by ear.
Hey, Dave can decode FT8 by ear.
Now that's just Frankie.
Yeah, 75 baud Riddy, and he'd sit there and write it out on a piece of paper, and it just blew my mind every time he did it. He says, "Well, you know, sometimes the machine goes down and you just got to copy it by ear." I'm like, wow. And the kid that used to slingshot the sharpened slaughter darts at my head in class, he's currently doing a 60-year sentence for manslaughter right now. So, I guess that turned out okay.
That's fine. If you really look at it, the word manslaughter is just man's laughter with no space.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, that's a good point. And therapist is just the rapist with a space.
That's right.
There's always a way to sugarcoat stuff.
Yeah, he was definitely a character. Everyone else, there was 10, 12 people in our class. I think out of the 12, 3 of them were complete F-ups, and the other 9 actually wanted to learn.
I was in a class like that once. Basically, the teacher said, look, you're all such S-heads that if you just come here and shut up and don't make a disturbance, I'll give you a C+. Anybody who wants to learn, come see me.
Well, in high school, I was struggling with geometry and calculus. And if it wasn't for him, he had no college education, just radio man, electronics tech in the Navy. If it wasn't for him, I would not have learned calc. I would not have been able to go on to trig and analytical trig and ace all of that in high school if it wasn't for him, because my problem in math class in regular high school was, okay, I'm just pushing numbers around on a piece of paper. He actually set up a circuit and said, okay, we're going to measure this, and this is how you calculate this, and this is what these numbers actually mean, and it just clicked. It made sense.
What?
What?
I never forget that class, Mr. G's history class. He retired the year after he got us. It was like literally, there were 3 middle schools, right? And they funneled into one high school. So imagine like every single troublemaker from all 3 schools. Like literally every bad kid got stuck in the same history class that was the first period right after lunch. And it was just the worst thing ever. They almost couldn't have substitute teachers because it would just get so out of hand. They would walk out. It happened twice. The sub packed it up and was like, look, like, I'm out of here. Like, screw you guys. The teacher quit. He retired that year, like at the end of the year. It was so bad. And of course, you know, there was like this one quiet girl who like nobody knew, who got like straight A's, stuck in the class, like cowering in the corner.
Yeah, don't get me started on history class. I learned so much more about history after I graduated and started reading real books, not the crap that they twisted and taught us in high school.
What? Clark, were you a troublemaker in school? Oh,
You're broken.
oh, great. Clark is watching Urbex videos.
Clark, click off of Pornhub and come back. We're talking about you. Clark, Bueller.
Just start chanting, Clark, 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 Clark.
I don't know, Clark. Falls down a well, eyes go cross. Get kicked by a mule, eyes go straight. I don't know, Clark. Clark must have had a telephone call.
Yeah, maybe he got a late night bootay call from one of his women's.
That's right. Shantae or Sinead done come over and knocked on his door. Know what I'm saying?
Secretia.
Propecia. And the twins.
Propecia.
Propecia and Minoxidil done come and knocked on his door.
You've been a bad ham.
I'm gonna have to spank you.
Somebody in the chat just said, wait a minute, Billy. Is Clark the guy who has electricity shooting out of his ex's rear?
I thought Clark was dating a Spanish woman.
Nah, from what I understood, he was dating both like a super liberal and a super like conservative woman at the same time. And as he would come, they both lived at the same exit on the highway, and the really, really conservative one, he would have to make a left to go to her house, go figure, and he'd have to make a right to go to the super Dem's house.
Yeah, but the fun really starts when you get them both in the same room together.
Man, could you imagine those two, like, finding out and meeting each other? Gosh.
You never know. Don't knock it till you try it.
Oh, man.
Since I'm broadcasting to the world over the internet. What does the internet want to know about me? Alpha Bravo 3 Analingus.
Oh, man, I don't know if they have any questions for y'all. We'll find out. Hold on. Somehow they saw my shirt.
I wear a size 13 shoe. I can touch my nose with my tongue. I have a rather extensive collection of leather whips and chains and chaps. My hobbies involve long walks on the beach and photography. No takers?
Clark dipped out. That's rude.
Well, it's just cisgender male privilege there. This is what he did right there.
Oh yeah, all the privilege and this and that, and everybody's got a problem with everything. Just man, I think if everybody had a job, they wouldn't have time to worry about all this stuff.
Bingo! You notice how all the people doing all these protests are living in their mommy's basements? Or either that or they're university professors.
Well, there's nothing wrong with living at your parents' house. I did that until I was pretty damn old. But you know why that was? Is because I had massive college debt. Because I went to college for something stupid, like all these other people. Music, yeah, great. Make a living now. What? That'll be, $1,200 a month. It sucks, but what are you gonna do? Living in your parents' house is okay, but just like have a hobby, do something, like wake up and have something to do. That's what people need,
Well, I graduated high school with an associate's degree in electrical engineering from the VOTEC classes that I did. And I've always been into music. I mean, I've had a few beers. I've got 27 guitars right now. And, I read. I sheet read. I can play from sheet music. But, as something to do, I'm 44 now. I'm teaching myself music theory. And I know how to read. I can sight read music and play it. But, actually understanding the theory, it's something fun to do for me. But, my career, I've got a business. I've got a couple of guys working for me. I run an IT firm. And I don't have any schooling in that. It's just something I've learned along the way. I would have loved to have gone to school for music because that's what I really like. I love recording and playing and music. But, I knew there was really no money in it.
Yeah, so, being over $100,000 in debt with a music degree was a very, very bad decision.
Well, I mean, I got a friend who's, uber liberal left wing. He's got a master's degree in film production. He's a bartender at a juice bar in Florida. And he blames the fact that he doesn't have a job making films in Hollywood on Republicans. And I'm like, no, maybe you just don't have any talent.
Oh, there's a lot of things it could be. There's just not a lot of jobs in that field. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's different nowadays, though. Like, you can actually creative fields have changed a lot since like live streaming and all this. Like there's actually stuff out there. But when I got out of college, 2008 or so, couldn't do anything. I did live sound for like 10 years. I unloaded PA systems out of trucks, set them up, mixed shows, threw them in the truck at 3 a.m. and drove back, and got paid cash, and I'd be home by like 5:30 in the morning when the sun was coming up. And 10 years of that with like zero saved for retirement and like basically just enough to pay for my college loans. I was like, screw this, went into a different occupation, and the occupation that I'm in, if I started doing when I was 18 instead of going to college, I would be like set.
Yeah, we've all been there. Like the company that I run, we rent backline PA and amps. I mean, I've got a collection of like guitar amps, and I've got 30 different guitar amps, and I've got 4 different PA rigs that we rent out. It's on how you look at it. You can make money doing one thing, or you can make money renting equipment out to the guys that play the music.
Yeah, backline rental's cool. We used to do a lot with like SIR out there in New York, and SST, Supersonic Transport, out of Hoboken, New Jersey. They were pretty cool. I liked those guys a lot, but it's a lot of late hours, those loadouts where you gotta wait to get out of the building, and there's like the lighting guys and the PA guy. We're all waiting to go down some stupid elevator or something with like 10 million road cases, throwing it in the van and this and that, and like, it just no benefits, no nothing, no retirement savings. It just, Why did I go to college for that? And not to mention everything I learned in college is pretty much obsolete. I mean, they showed us how to use programs that were relevant almost, like 10, 15 years ago. Like, none of that crap. Like, if I walked into a studio these days, I would have to relearn so much stuff. I mean, I have the basic schema of how it all works, but they'd be like, oh yeah, open up the like blah blah XYZ, this, that, or the other thing, like some proprietary thing. You don't know what it's called. You're like, oh, you mean like this? It's like, yeah, it's called like blah 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 now. It's like, oh, okay. And then like after learning 1,000 things like that, like what stuff is called nowadays, you can dive in, but what the hell?
Yeah, see, I'm on the other end of the spectrum right now. I get paid to build the studios. Don't ask me how to run them. And what's really come around full circle is back in the mid-90s, late 90s, the push was for all VSTs. It's coming around full circle now. Now everyone wants a studio built up with 96 or, 256 input-output lines out of their DAW to go to, Neve preamps, 1176 compressors. Everyone's on outboard equipment now. The old school tube outboard equipment. There's a big push right now, even in small project studios, to get away from doing everything with plugins. And I got to sit down and educate them. Okay, this is how you write down a cut sheet for, these are your settings for this, this compressor, this limiter, this gate, this EQ, so that when you have to do a recall on if you get somebody requests a recall, hey, we want this mixed a different way, you got to set all the equipment up the way it was. And it's a whole new education for these guys that came up in the late 2000s on everything's in the doll, everything's a plug-in.
Well, that was one good thing about going to Berkeley. Like, we learned all the in-the-box stuff, which obviously you don't need recall sheets for. You just save it, and it comes back how it was. But use a lot of outboard gear, too. And, yeah, they had a piece of dang paper with the front of the unit on it, and you would mark your settings and write, like, the date and the mix and all that stuff. And we got used to doing that, because that was the old school way, and they still taught it. So, I don't know. I got a good education in it, but, like, a lot of the fluff that I learned was all early 2000s, like, software, which is useless now.
Well, pretty much. The big thing I'm getting into now is we do large auditoriums. You know, like a 4,000 or 5,000. I do a lot of frickin' mega churches, and that's funny from an atheist. We do sound systems in mega churches, and getting them set up, and especially, and I had to learn video too, because now we're doing 4K streaming over the internet for these mega churches. It's, you know, it's ever changing. You've got to keep up on it.
Oh yeah, mega churches have money. Definitely spend a lot on audio equipment and stuff like that. I know that. But yeah, I don't know. It's what I'm doing now, I could have started doing when I was 18 and skipped all the college and all the college debt and all that stuff. Would have been living in my own house 10 years ago. Been, you know, had so much less money a month in expenses on paying for this degree, which I'm still going to be doing for like another 10 years. You know, it seems like a scam, like a lot of college, you know, and when I went to college, it was like, oh yeah, everybody has to go to college, you know, like it's just, that's what you do. You're not going to get a good job unless you go to college. It didn't help me get a job. It didn't help me with squat. You know what it did? It emptied my pockets. And that's what it's designed to do, in my opinion. It's a large scam. It's a big business, and they get all pissed off when I call it a business. We're not a business. We're an academic institution. Yeah, well, okay, cool. Like, you could have fooled me. W2BTK.
B3AL. Yeah, when I was in high school, you know, I was a screw up. I was the absolute F up. I was in trouble every other week, suspended every other week, but I had a 3.9 GPA in high school. My guidance counselor said, oh, I'm getting this and that, and public assistance and this and that. And my dad already told me I'm not paying for college. And, you know, I told my guidance counselor, well, you know, I'm not going to go to college. I'm going to labor for about 5 or 6 years and get job experience. And then I'm going to start my own company. And, damn it, that's what I did. They laughed at me, told me I wouldn't make anything of myself. Well, you know, I'm doing okay. My baby brother barely passed through high school. Guidance counselor told him, oh, you're going to be a ditch digger. Well, my brother owns about $6.5 million worth of excavating equipment, and when my guidance counselor, her farm/estate, when she filed bankruptcy, my brother bought it at auction, and he just looked at her and smiled.
Man, yeah, it's depressing, but whatever. Hey, I've been in QSO for a few hours now. I think I'm going to slide out of here, shut down the transmitter for the night. Getting a little late. And I got to go take a poop, honestly. So, hey, it's been fun talking to you. I don't know where the hell Clark went. He just dipped out. But He always does that, so I'm not surprised. Anyway, I'll talk to you later. Well, I might be on tomorrow. Might not. I'm not sure. I got a couple things I want to accomplish, so we'll see. And I got to go to bed real early tomorrow night because, you know, I'm up at like 4 a.m. or whatever to get down to Branchburg in time for my 6 o'clock start, my 10-hour days. So we'll see you later, man. It's good chatting with you. W2BTK on Montana Mountain.
W2, Bind, Torture, and Kill. This is Alpha Bravo 3 in Lingus. AB3AL. 73s, and you have a good evening. I'm going to go get some more beer.
All right, y'all. Yeah, I'm gonna. Hey, Greylock, I'll see you later, man. And Dave, yeah, have a good KOE. Oh, I'll try to. I hope everything comes out okay. But yeah, we're gonna shut the stream. Well, thanks y'all for stopping by. I hope you had fun, as always. And like I said, I don't know if I'm going to be streaming tomorrow. There's a couple things. I might go to my dad's house, and if I do that, definitely not going to be streaming. I got to be in bed by, like, 8 o'clock or something. Hey, Yabo, see you later, man. Thanks for stopping in, dude. So it's going to be an early night for me tomorrow. And then, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I'm working 10-hour days. We're starting at 6 a.m. So I get home and have like 3 hours of free time. So most likely not going to be streaming till next Thursday, but you never know. I might hop on the air for like an hour or something one of those weeknights. So if you're not following the Twitch, click the follow button and you'll know when I go live, so you don't miss anything. If you're not in the Discord, there's a link to that just below the video here. You can join that so y'all can chat when the feed isn't up, and I do check that often. So if you want to ask me questions or say hi or whatever, I'm on there, and you could do that. So that's your access when the feed isn't live. So what else? There's YouTube. My YouTube channel. Y'all know that. But anyway, hey Ron, I'll see you later, man. Oh yeah. Oh dude, I'm gonna go drop the hammer. So AW3CJD, man, I'll catch you later. Thanks for stopping in. And everybody have a good night. Thanks for stopping in. I had fun. Hopefully you had fun. And I'll see you next time, all right? Peace out, guys.